10.65 seconds. That's the number. In August 2023, in Budapest, Hungary, a 23-year-old sprinter from Dallas, Texas, ran that time in a World Championship final and became the 6th fastest woman who has ever lived. Not 6th in the country, 6th on the planet, in the history of the event. 2 years before that race, she wasn't allowed to compete at all. When NBC track analyst and Olympic gold medalist Sha'Carri Richardson was asked what it was like watching this athlete's comeback unfold, she didn't talk about the stopwatch. She said the whole world got caught up in the magic of who Sha'Carri is. We will get to exactly what she meant by that, but first, you need to understand just how impossible this actually is. Because 10.65 doesn't just mean fast. It means faster than every woman alive right now, and faster than all but one woman in the entire recorded history of the sport. A sprinter from the late 1980s, whose records have survived nearly 4 decades of the fastest athletes on Earth trying to break them. And Sha'Carri Richardson ran that time 2 years after being told, publicly and officially, that she could not compete. Dallas, Texas. Not the part of Dallas that shows up in postcards. Sha'Carri Richardson grew up without a relationship with either of her biological parents. She was raised by her grandmother, Betty Harp, and her aunt, Sha'Carri Richardson, the woman she still calls her mother to this day. At 9 years old, she found something in her grandmother's house, a plaque covered in medals. They belonged to her aunt, who used to run track. Sha'Carri looked at that plaque and told her grandmother she wanted one too. Betty gave her the answer every grandmother in America has given a kid asking for a trophy: go earn it. So she ran. At David W. Carter High School in Dallas, she won 3 Texas state championships and left as the #1 ranked sprint recruit in the entire country, ahead of every other sprinter, male or female, in her graduating class. Every major program in the country wanted her. She chose Louisiana State University. As a freshman at LSU in 2019, she did something almost nobody her age had ever done. She ran 10.75 seconds in the 100 meters and broke the NCAA collegiate record. She became the first woman in world history to run sub 10.8 in the 100 and sub 22.2 in the 200 on the same day. 19 years old and already one of the 10 fastest women alive. She earned 4 All-American honors and 3 SEC titles in a single season, then turned professional before her sophomore year even began, walking away from college eligibility because the money was already real. By every normal measure, this is where the story goes in a straight line. A can't-miss prospect turns pro, signs with Nike, wins gold, becomes a star. That is not what happened. Off the track, she was already building an identity nobody in the sport had quite seen before. The vibrant hair colors, the long nails, the fashion choices she made mid-race, all of it drew comparisons to Florence Griffith Joyner, the sprinter whose records she would spend the next several years chasing. She wasn't hiding any of it to fit the sport's traditional, understated image. She leaned all the way into it, on purpose, from the very beginning. In June 2021, Richardson won the U.S. Olympic trials in the 100 meters with a time of 10.86 seconds. Before she crossed that line, she had already learned that her biological mother had died just 1 week earlier. She ran through it, won her spot on the Olympic team, and told the world about her mother's death only after this race was over. 10 days later came the moment that defined the next 2 years of her career. She tested positive for THC, the active compound in marijuana, a substance legal in the state where she used it but banned under the anti-doping rules that governed her sport. The suspension itself was 1 month. The consequence was total, regretful. It cost her the entire Tokyo Olympics, the game she had been favored to dominate. What followed wasn't just a punishment, it became a narrative that followed her for years. Commentators questioned her discipline in public, on national television, before she'd even had a chance to respond. The reaction across the sports world was loud enough that NFL and NBA stars were weighing in on a decision that had nothing to do with either sport. Her next 2 seasons were rough by her own standard. She didn't even qualify for the 2022 World Championships, a meet she should have been favored to win. And when word got out in early 2023 that Nike was extending her endorsement deal for a reported $20 million over 5 years, a lot of people didn't see it as a vote of confidence. One widely shared social media post at the time summed up the mood bluntly. There was no way Nike should be taking a $20 million gamble on someone that volatile. That's the message the sport and a large chunk of the public sent her without saying it directly. You are not the athlete we thought you were 2 years ago. But then comes the part of the story that almost nobody outside of track and field actually watched happen in real time. Here is what people missed while they were busy writing her off. She didn't disappear, and she didn't get louder about proving anyone wrong. She rebuilt. Quietly, through an entire season where she lost more races than she won, training down in Florida at Star Athletics Track Club, working through a rebuild that had no guaranteed ending. Drop this in the comments right now, because I genuinely want to know, when an athlete fails publicly the way she did, does the damage from that moment usually stick for good, or does it become the exact thing that builds the comeback? I need your answer before the next number drops. That 2-year stretch, the losses, the missed world championship, the mother she'd just lost, and a canceled Olympic dream she never got to compete in, is the actual whole story here, not the medal that came later, the part where nobody outside the sport was watching, and she kept training anyway, in a Florida gym, with no cameras and no guarantee any of it would work. By the spring of 2023, something had changed. She opened the outdoor season with a 10.57 in Miami. A month later, she picked up her first career Diamond League win in Doha, running 10.76 for a meet record. The rebuild wasn't a rumor anymore. It was showing up on the clock, meet after meet, in a way that was impossible to write off as one good race. A Netflix docuseries called Sprint was filming her during parts of this stretch, and it caught something the highlight reels never showed. Tense exchanges with reporters who kept circling back to 2021 no matter how many races she won in 2023. She wasn't hiding her frustration with the questions. She also wasn't letting them slow her down on the track. 10.65. Say that number again on its own. 10.65 seconds, run in a World Championship final, under the exact kind of pressure that had already ended her Olympic dream once before. Now put it against her own history. Her high school personal best in the 100 meters was 11.28 seconds. Her personal best in 2021, the year everything fell apart, was 10.72. 2 years, 1 suspension, and 1 canceled Olympics later, she took 0.07 of a second off her own fastest time on the single biggest stage her sport offers. Now put it against every woman who has ever run this race in any country, in any era. 10.65 makes her the 6th fastest woman in the recorded history of the 100 meters. Only 5 women ever, across the entire history of track and field, have run faster than that. One of those 5 ran her fastest times in 1988, and nobody has caught her since. Let that land for a second. She didn't just come back from a suspension. She ran a time faster than every single woman who has ever lined up for this event, except for a small handful of names that live in record books, not in weekly results. Not top 10 in the United States. Not top 10 of her generation. 6th all-time on the entire planet, in a sport that has been contested for over a century, timed and measured at every level, from local youth meets to the Olympic final. Think about how many women have run the 100 meters competitively since the event was first standardized. Thousands across 100 years in every country that fields a track team. Out of all of them, 5 have ever run faster than what Sha'Carri Richardson did in that one race in Budapest. Here's the fact, stated plainly, no hype required. A sprinter who had been suspended from her own sport, missed the Olympics she was favored to win, and had strangers on the internet publicly betting that Nike would regret standing by her, went on to run the 6th fastest 100 meters by any woman in the recorded history of the event, and did it in a World Championship final with the entire sport watching to see if she would fold under the exact pressure that broke her 2 years earlier. That is not a small fact. In a sport where entire careers are decided lopsided by hundredths of a second, a comeback of that magnitude from that specific low point is a historic fact that puts this performance in a completely different category than a normal athletic redemption story. A year later, at the Paris Olympics, she won the silver medal in the 100 meters and then anchored the United States 4x100 relay team to gold, splitting an astonishing 10.09 seconds on that final leg to seal the win. The athlete who wasn't allowed to run in Tokyo became one of the defining faces of the games that followed it, 3 years after being told in writing that she couldn't compete at all. Think about the timeline for a second. Suspended in July 2021, written off through 2022, world champion by August 2023, Olympic silver and relay gold by August 2024. That's not a slow climb back to relevance. That's one of the fastest full-scale comebacks track and field has seen from an athlete who missed an entire Olympic cycle for reasons that had nothing to do with her talent. After she won in Budapest, reporters crowded around her expecting something big, a statement about everyone who doubted her, a moment of vindication delivered loud. She didn't give a speech. She didn't list off the people who wrote her off. She said one sentence that has now outlived the race itself. "I'm not back, I'm better." 4 words that became the theme of a Powerade campaign, got sampled on a Kanye West track, and turned into the unofficial tagline of her entire career from that point forward. Not a takedown of anyone, not a victory lap, just a quiet, blunt correction aimed at everyone who thought back was the ceiling she was reaching for. Her hometown responded in kind. Dallas renamed a track at John Kincaid Stadium after her, the same stadium she once ran on as a teenager, and declared November 10th, 2023, Sha'Carri Richardson Day across the city. That's the answer to the open loop from the beginning of this video. Sonia Richards-Ross, the analyst who said the whole world got caught up in her magic, wasn't talking about a gold medal. She was talking about watching someone rebuild a career entirely in public, get it wrong for 2 years, and refuse to explain herself the whole time. She was doing it. That, more than the time on the clock, is why people who don't follow track and field closely still know her name. Los Angeles 2028 is 2 years away. Sha'Carri Richardson will be 28 years old when those games open, right in the middle of a sprinter's physical prime, running a 100-meter final on American soil for the very first time in her career. She already owns the 6th fastest time in the history of the event. She already has an Olympic silver medal and a relay gold medal built on a sub-10.1 anchor leg. The one thing missing from her resume is individual Olympic gold. And if it happens, it will happen in front of the exact home crowd that watched every part of this story unfold in real time. The suspension, the lost Olympics, the $20 million bet Nike made when nobody else believed in the outcome, and the redemption that followed. Between now and then, she has every reason to keep adding to a resume that already includes a Vogue cover, a high-fashion collaboration with designer Simon Porte-Jacquemus, and the reported Nike deal that runs through 2028. Timed deliberately to end right at the games she's chasing. Nike didn't just bet on the comeback in 2023. They bet on this exact moment, 5 years in advance, before anyone knew for certain how the story would keep going. So here is the question. Does Sha'Carri Richardson finally close that one gap and win individual Olympic gold in Los Angeles, on home soil, in front of the same country that spent 2021 writing her off? Drop your answer below. And if you want the full story of what actually happened behind closed doors during that suspended year, the training, the doubt, the decision to keep going when quitting would have been the easier headline, that's exactly what we're covering in the next video.